pursuit of upholding a diverse academic community, even a conservative presence should be allowed. I could not agree more, for we need viewpoints from all sides in order to embody this diversity we hold dear. I respect Rehnquist for his scholarly nature, but there are certain beliefs that are neither democratic nor Republican, conservative nor liberal, but simply unethical. When a man fights against desegregating schools, this is not a conservative viewpoint. It is immoral.
In October of 2006, the president of Middlebury College announced an endowed professorship named after the late Chief Justice William Rehnquist. This surprising announcement on honoring a controversial figure has led to discussion on this campus of whether or not Rehnquist should have such an honor based on his career in the Supreme Court.
Justice Rehnquist, I feel, voted on a number of cases that showed that basically he found constitutional support for different kinds of discrimination.
For example, in 1954, when he was interning for Judge Jackson, that was the time that they were discussing Brown versus Board of Education, and we have documentation that he wrote a memo saying that Plessy versus Ferguson, which maintained segregation between races, was a good thing.
Another dollar, another day, it's another sun ray. It's another time that you gotta wait for the segregation, but it doesn't matter because a woman's rights can never give up a fight. It's not like they ever had suffrage, because as long as a $200,000 man is giving you money, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna pay your dues, your hustler's dues, or are you gonna do it at Middlebury too?
It's usually the case that what he's saying is he didn't find anything in the Constitution that precluded a given state from enacting a certain law.
It's very easy to say, he's just supporting states' rights. Well, yes, all the racists wanted to support states' rights in the 50s and 60s.
He voted with the majority to require that women be admitted to the Virginia Military Institute.
On the other hand, he has also dissented against the Violence Against Women Act, where women can, if they've been raped, get money from a federal court as compensation. And he uses the Commerce Clause to actually say that is unconstitutional.
He voted in virtually every case that he had before him to allow states to criminalize gays and lesbians with huge ramifications for their real lives.
The right of a woman to obtain an abortion prior to the viability of the fetus. That's Roe and Wade. Chief Justice Rehnquist, along with other justices, have held the view that's a reading into the Constitution a right that's not there, which means not that they're against the woman's right to choose, no, but that's a matter that should be decided by the separate states.
If the Senate as a whole wanted to pass an amendment saying that right to privacy includes, pregnant women, their right to have an abortion is because of their right to privacy, then they can do that. And he says, if the Senate wants to pass that and then it's in the Constitution, it's not an issue for debate. It's there.
He is directly quoted saying that the majority has the constitutional right to rule over the minority, which thus allows for segregation and allows for the suppression of gays and allows for so much of the legislation that suppress so many people.
The ramifications of that decision as they played themselves out were awful. And as an individual, personal reaction to that was very, very sympathetic. But I think the issue really is more of a constitutional interpretation rather than a personal view. And I think the context of how one looks at the Constitution and interprets law was not spoken about at all. And from that perspective, I think it's better to rely on the constitutional experts among us rather than Professor Moss or Professor Leibowitz here.
The student who claimed that at least one of Chief Justice Rehnquist's opinions was immoral maybe needs to think more about the morality of consent. And we make a lot of decisions at the college and the country at large on the basis of votes. And rarely do we require unanimity, if at all.
Everyone should understand that there was no, of course, intent to hurt anybody by this. There happens to be differences of opinion as to whether or not a person like William Rehnquist deserved to be honored.
For me, and for other people whose rights have been threatened by Rehnquist decisions, It's not a matter of opinion. If I become a felon, if I can be arrested, if I can have my children taken away, excuse me, that's just not a matter of opinion for me. That is a real consequence, and I react to that in a visceral way. And for the college to honor somebody like that shows that it is insensitive to that discrimination and doesn't realize that honoring this person will be taken as a blow to us.
Resolution that this is what is it called? A vote on diversity is ridiculous. You know, it has nothing to do with diversity at all. Talk about that. Conservatives will tell you that these are the Kevin Moss and others are the biggest advocates of tolerance, except when it comes to opposing views. So in other words, in the name of great tolerance, look what we're doing. We're striking down the ability to honor William Rehnquist because his views are outside our own. And so that's the irony of it, is that you would say that the liberals and the left are the greatest advocates of tolerance, yet they're the most intolerant and the most ideological, totalitarian when it comes to these personal issues.
Middlebury College is considered an institution of ideas. In accepting the Rehnquist chair, Middlebury has created focus for an ideological struggle. When do ideas become too personal, too political? Is it possible to honor ideas without offending anyone? The only question I ask is, can the students, professors, staff, and administration overcome this?